Hey, gang, I want to tell you about True Hemp Science full spectrum CBD products. They are fantastic. I've been using them now for a couple of months. I've used their balms. I've used their oils to sleep. And today I'll be talking about a whole new product. Now listen, True Hemp Science promises you premium quality, pure ingredients, and true value. They source the highest grade organic hemp from around the world to handcraft the finest full spectrum CBD products. They offer a complete line of CBD products, including full spectrum CBD oils, tinctures, CBD skincare lotions, CBD sports rubs, CBD gummies, and CBD gluten-free chocolates. They number their CBD products to differentiate them by strain, by farm, and by extraction method. Now, last week I was telling you about the number 81, which is great for relaxation and sleep. But today I'm going to be talking to you about number G41. That's full spectrum CBG plus CBDA plus terpenes. Now, this has given me some focus. It has some CBD in it, but it doesn't make you sleepy or tired or foggy in any way. The CBG kind of gives you some focus, and it energizes your brain while keeping you calm and cool. You know what I'm saying? People report it relaxes their brain and does not affect cognitive performance. While it is calming, it is less physically so than CBD. It's great for working. It's great for getting your work done. I'm even using it right now. So, gang, How Did I Get Here is partnered with True Hemp Science full spectrum CBD products. And if you use the code HDIGH, you will get something special. Purchase $65 worth of regular price products and receive 296 milligrams of number 81 distillate. That's the one I was telling you about. That's great for rest, relaxation, and sleep. Just go to truehempscience.com/HDIGH for How Did I Get Here? And you can also visit them at their brick and mortar store. That's right. They have a physical location right here in Austin at 505 West Mary Street, Unit C, Austin, Texas. Don't forget, use the code HDIGH. If you're already using CBD products, switch over to this one. I promise it's going to be great. You're going to love it. All of these products are great, and the CBDA is unbelievable. Like I'm telling you, I feel very clear. I feel very focused. I haven't been drinking a bunch of coffee all day, and I'm not all anxious from coffee. You know what I'm saying? TrueHempScience.com, HDIGH. You're not only getting yourself some CBD, but you're helping us out here, right? By using the code HDIGH. TrueHempScience.com. Go get your full spectrum CBD products today. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host, Johnny.
When we talked,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys have all had a good week. You're staying safe. You're staying healthy out there, staying out of the way of the Rona. It's been a crazy week over here. A lot of stuff has gone on. There's been I've been kind of like in this emotional. That's what I would say. Heightened emotions, sort of taking inventory. When I was a kid, like when I was like 6 or 7, my Aunt Olga, who's my godmother and stuff, she started going out with this dude, and they were living together. And he was this real cool dude. He played basketball and played music and was really fun. And as I got older, he and I became a lot closer. And when I got interested in music, he always showed me music stuff. And when my mom passed away, and after I lived in Miami with my dad, I moved back to Houston. He built me a room to live in my aunt and uncle's house with their kids. My cousins are like my sisters, and then we grew closer. And then as I started playing music, in bands and professionally, he was incredibly supportive and came to every important show. Even when I moved to Austin, he would drive up from Houston for, in stores or whatever, stuff like that. He was just very, very supportive, and we were very, very close. And like when I got married, he paid for my rehearsal dinner and stuff. It's just like really involved person. But after I got married, a few months afterwards, he and my aunt got a divorce. And while I tried to stay neutral and kind of be in between and see what's going on, try not play both sides, but be diplomatic, because I was so close to him and so close to my aunt, and they were divorcing. Even though I was in my 20s and I was already married, it was an odd position to be in. So then there were some times that we had these conversations where I just kind of was turned off by his excitement for his newfound freedom, which at that point I didn't understand, because I wasn't looking at it from his perspective or anything like that. I was looking at it from the kids, from my aunt, and I was hurt. And so that relationship, we just kind of distanced. I distanced myself from him. And so for the last 25 years or so, I've seen him at birthdays and stuff. He owned a venue in Brenham, the 4-star place. And I went and checked it out and hung out with them. And it's been friendly. It's not been bad, but there's this, this intense closeness from a long time ago, and then this distance, but you still see each other. And then he suddenly passed away on Tuesday of a heart attack. And it's kind of shaken my what is life? What are relationships? What are our connections to other people? And that I feel awful for my cousins. They lost their dad very suddenly, and they feel terrible, and they're kind of in a position now they didn't expect to be in. All that kind of stuff. And I feel bad for his family, and it's a sad loss. He was a nice guy. He was a really nice guy, and I feel bad for distancing myself for so long after as kind as he was to me. But, you got to accept that those things happen, and you got to do stuff about that while people are alive. You can't just feel bad when they die. And that's been it's been a tough thing this week. And the Congress House recording studio, my mentor, Mark Hallman, he owns it. It's been around since 1980, but the first time I went there was 1982. I was 14 years old. I went there, I saw musicians living. Like how musicians just live. It was the coolest thing I'd ever fucking seen in my life. That's what I wanted to do. And I ended up living there. I made records there. I lived there for 2 years. And, recorded a lot there. A lot. Even my last EP, Leper Hands, we did a lot of the backing vocals and overdubs and stuff there, and Mark mixed it and stuff. Anyway, the Congress House has been a home to me and an inspirational place, and I haven't been going there for the last 20 years very much. And now it's being torn down. And I went over there to help Mark move some stuff out this week as well, like the day after my Uncle John passed away. And here I was in this place that's like a temple to me. It's like a temple to me. And I haven't been going there. And now it's going to be torn to the ground. I mean, Mark's moving his studio to another place, but that shell, that home, that vessel will no longer be there. Do you see what I'm getting at? I'm trying to deal with loss, and I'm trying to reconcile what I can do while things are still, while people are still living, while places are still standing. And I don't know. It's been tough, and it's kind of shaken my whole thing. Then I spent all this time this week. I don't know if you guys have read the Mary Gauthier book, Saved by a Song. Amazing book. I was reading that book earlier while I'm going through all this stuff. I'm reading this book of this person that's kind of going through, not exactly what I'm going through, but emotionally, that sort of intensity and sort of how she deals with it. And I'm reading this parallel book. Then I had this conversation with her yesterday that you'll hear next Friday. She's so amazing. Anyway, and the whole time I felt like crying. I feel like sending her an email and being like, I was a little distracted during that conversation, not because of anything except for that I wanted to talk about, ask her for her help and how to get through what I'm going through. Oh, hang on. Hey, Google, stop. That's the alarm to stop talking. Anyway, that's what I'm going through this week. It's heavy shit. I'm trying to figure it all out. I've got my therapist in 40 minutes. So maybe she'll have some kind of clarity. Maybe I can figure some stuff out in that 50 minutes of of awkwardness. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I am doing well. It's not like I'm freaking out or anything. I've just been really in my own head and in my heart kind of trying to figure out all the people in this world and all the places in this world that mean something to me. And while they're still living and while they're still standing, I will spend time with them. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Now, outside of all that sadness, gang, I have a great show for you today. I do. This is an awesome show. I've been wanting this to happen for a long time. Olivier Giraud from 8.5 Souvenirs joins me today. We had a nice chat by the pool a couple weeks ago. It was really fantastic. It was great getting to actually know him. I've been around Olivier since like 91, 92 for like 30 years. I've been seeing this guy, knowing this. Hey, how you doing, buddy? And I was a fan of 8.5 Souvenirs. And they have a brand new album out. It's called At the Movies. And it was produced by the amazing, legendary Charlie Sexton. Did a great job. Also engineered and mixed by Dave Boyle over at the Church House Studios. Great studio. And great dudes. And this record's absolutely fantastic. Now, if you've lived in Austin for a while, you remember 8.5 Souvenirs, man. They were like, I mean, they got signed to RCA back in the 90s. They were on Austin City Limits back in the 90s. If you had they did their residency at the Continental Club. I used to go to that. They had a bunch of different singers. Started out with Kathy Benayan singing, and then they went to Juliana Sheffield, and they went to Christabel. But now Kathy is back in the band, and she's the singer on this record, At the Movies. And this record's great. It is out there. You can get it wherever it is you stream and download your jams. You can find them at 8.5souvenirs.com. They are celebrating the release of their show at Seaboys here in Austin on Tuesday, February 15th. Get out there at 6:30 to 9 and celebrate with the great 8.5 Souvenirs. I'll be there. I will be there, man. I really want to see these guys. Olivia and I have a great conversation about him moving here from France. The group of dudes like Terry Lacaze and Pierre, who owns Justine's, and all these dudes that are kind of like these music French dudes. There's like a little community of them, and he was part of it. And a lot of like my group of friends when I moved here in the 90s was very intertwined with those guys. And so I got to be around them a lot. I remember their old house on 12th up the street from Lamar. There's this big white house, and they all lived there, and it was a great place. There were some great parties there. Anyway, Olivia and I go through the whole thing. His move to Austin, starting 8.5 Souvenirs, their journey as a band. I mean, because that's been a long thing. So, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with the amazingly talented and extremely cool Olivier Giraud from 8.5 Souvenirs. Let's get down.
Juste ton regard, c'est là le destin. Avant le soir, il serait loin. Rempli d'espoir, la main dans la main.
All right, so I have these memories of kind of being at parties and stuff in the 90s, and you were around maybe like a Bucka's party or Bale's party or something. You know what I mean? But then also, I do have that album Suvonica. That wasn't on RCA.
No, it was still Continental Records. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
But that seems to me like that was kind of, I don't know why, but to me that was like the album everyone had.
Yeah, Happy Feet was really.
Oh yeah,
the
Happy
one
Feet
that-
was really, yeah.
Yeah, plus we released 2 versions of it, so, we sold twice the same record.
Oh right, nice.
So a lot of people, if they didn't have one version, they had the other, and
You guys had a video on the Austin Music Network for Happy Feet.
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
A live video at the Continental.
Yeah.
It was fun with Shoeshine Charlie.
Yeah.
And all the girls and stuff. It's fun.
How you've been playing the Continental Club a long time. We all have at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was Steve was so easy to work with, and if you were worth a damn, he would take you in anyway.
Yeah.
So, he was really good friends of musicians.
Yeah.
But Black Cat as well, and
Did you play there a lot?
Not a lot, but
Right.
I played several times at the Black Cat, and it was definitely, you know, if I was not playing, I was there to watch Two Hoots and a Holler, or
Right,
you
right.
know, it was the hangout,
Yeah.
and I played the 311 Club next to
Oh,
next
yeah, yeah,
door,
yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
and then Raven's Garage, you know, that became Pootie's Red River Saloon, and then
Right.
Emo's, Headliners East. I mean.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, if I went playing, I was there anyway.
Yeah.
Just watch my friends play.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and the Continental was part of that circuit. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
The Continental seems to be like the hub of
It
that.
was great.
Yeah.
You didn't need to go downtown, and there's no parking issue,
Yeah.
and it was great. It's just a cool little pocket of fever, you know. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I loved it.
Outside of COVID, do you still go out a lot and see
Not really.
music? No, yeah.
No, I want to, but I mostly go see maybe exhibits, or I'll go to little places just to see friends of mine play. Or,
Right.
But I observe the the sanitary precautions and measures.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, I meant without COVID. Were you still kind of going
outside
out
of-
and seeing bands?
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Same places. I don't
Yeah.
really I kind of missed out on the whole East Side expansion. You know, the whole.
Right.
I think I played a couple of places like Stay Gold, and there's this place on I think it was on East First or East 7th or East First, I think, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a small room / restaurant. It was nice too.
Right.
But mostly I just kept going to the same places.
Yeah. Yeah. I find myself that I've just always kind of been going to the Continental Club, which brings me back to going to see you guys there in the. I definitely saw you a bunch of times in the Christabel era,
Oh yeah.
and a few times in the Juliana
Yeah.
era.
Yeah, because we used to play. We played at the Continental Club every single week for a long time. Like
Yeah.
At least 2 years or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think we played on Wednesday nights, Wednesday happy hours.
That makes sense.
And then I joined the Silent Street Spankers.
Right.
So I would like skip from the Continental. As soon as the show was over, I'd drive up to the
Lozano.
Austin Outhouse.
Oh yeah, the Austin Outhouse.
And play with the Spankers.
Didn't you guys do a weekly at La Zona Rosa then?
Oh yeah, then we played the Zona Rosa for Sunday brunch and the Electric Lounge.
Right.
Right down the street
Yeah.
by the train tracks.
Yeah.
All trains, locomotives, and stuff are parked
Yeah.
right next to it.
This is going to sound funny, and if he listens to this, he might get mad, but where Todd Wolfson used to take people in 1991 to take photos on those train tracks.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, before we go too far, because I do want to. Your band has such a rich history, and it's interesting because even though you and I aren't close, but we've known each other, but not like super well. I have watched the whole 8.5 Souvenirs thing. Like I've been around for it, and you know, it's cool to be able to have that vantage point. But this record at the movies, it's gorgeous, man. It's amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Did you guys? It's produced by Charlie Sexton. How was that working?
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you enough how wonderful it was to work with Charlie. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I actually, for the first time, enjoyed being in a studio.
Did you not enjoy it before?
No, I never really liked being in a recording studio. It was always kind of a turn-off.
That place is great, though. The church
And
house.
The church
Yeah.
house is wonderful. Dave is
Amazing.
the sweetest guy on earth, and he's so great at what he does.
Fantastic
His
engineer.
place is great.
Yeah.
And working with Charlie, like I said, was just. I mean, he's such a pro and such a nice guy. And,
Yeah.
And it was so easy. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Did you guys cut it live?
We
a lot of it
did,
live?
Pretty much every song was cut live
Okay.
as a basis, and then we added on because We did vocal overdubs for harmonies, and I added a couple of guitars. Charlie added a bunch of instruments. Dan, our piano player, played some B3.
That organ stuff is
I know.
fucking great.
It's
It is
fantastic.
great on there. Yeah.
I love it. And I was really fortunate to be able to actually add some tracks as well when we were stuck at home because of the pandemic.
Right. So you started this before the pandemic.
Yeah, actually, the project.
And you guys, had you guys been doing the Tuesdays at Seaboys then?
On and off, yeah.
Okay, because there's something about the performance that's so like you have been doing it
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah. That's to me that's the second time I actually record something after having played the songs for a
Right,
while.
right.
And to me, it's not the same species of album. It's a whole different kind of record.
Right.
When you go into the studio and you just wrote the songs and you're testing them out and arranging them and then doing the final recordings, that's one sort of album.
Yeah.
But what we did was we went into the studio after playing these songs and being together every single week
Right.
for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So of course it's a different thing. We could get into the studio and Charlie said, I just want to hear what you guys do at Seaboys. So that's what we did, And so the end result, of course, is like that's how we play. That's what we do.
Yeah.
The songs were already ironed out. All the kinks were ironed out, and we had plenty of time and room to just add things that we maybe had ideas for in the past.
Because you didn't have to do 48,000 takes of a song because you already had it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we did do a few takes per song.
Yeah.
And then Charlie and Dave did their magic in the control room, but mostly, it was like, well, we know how to do this.
Yeah.
So it does a lot for the confidence when you get into the studio and you're expected to do something that you've already done a million times. It's not we're in a good place. Nothing had got old and tiresome. So we had selected songs that we still were really excited about, and we wanted that on a record. So that's exactly what we did.
Well, it came off that. It really is. It's fantastic. Now, I didn't get to see. I know that obviously Tony Scalzo wrote "The Way," or "Le Way," but you do have. You wrote songs on here.
Yeah.
Trying to quickly go through. Okay, because you are a songwriter.
Yeah. I guess I write songs, so that makes me a songwriter.
But you know what's funny is in this town, they use singer-songwriter as like a style of music where a guy with an acoustic guitar plays cowboy chords. Mm-hmm. But singer-songwriter is a job description. It's not a style of music.
Exactly.
Stevie Wonder is a singer-songwriter.
That's and that's why I'm saying I write songs.
Yeah.
Therefore, I guess I am a songwriter.
Yeah.
But I don't measure up with people who do that for a living. It is a true trade and skill and a talent, I'm sure, too.
Yeah.
And I've run into really prominent artists, like really famous, like Wilson Pickett. Mm-hmm. Crossed his path one time, and we were chatting about music, and he said, whatever you do, just write songs, because that's where it's at. And he's that means something. That means it is the one thing that you need to know how to do. And I just write songs because I have a band. I'm not sure I would write songs if I weren't in a band.
That's interesting.
It's not something that I mean, maybe I would be. I don't know.
So let me ask you this real quick about your process. Do you go like, shit, I got to write a new song, and you sit down and you write a song? Or are you walking down the street and you're like humming something? You're like, oh, here it comes.
I think it's more the latter, like you said. Yeah. But it does come. The inspiration does come from the fact that I'm looking forward to play it with the band.
Right.
Like if I'm walking down the street and a song comes to my head, or some melody or lyrics or whatever, that's really sparked by the fact that I have a band I'm really enjoying playing with, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to, there's a direct link between the two. I very rarely think of writing a song for somebody else,
Yeah.
but I don't know. This is why I'm saying, I'm a musician, but I'm not sure I can call myself an actual songwriter.
Right. Right.
I'm just a writer of songs because
Yeah.
I love playing them with a band.
Yeah. What was the band that you had before with Lisa Pankratz?
47
47
Indians.
Indians. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I remember you from that, but it's funny because today when I was looking at the timeline of 8.5 Souvenirs,
Mm-hmm.
you guys predated the swing resurgence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like you started the band when the cigar clubs
No.
opened.
Oh, geez,
You
no.
know-
I
you
never
know,
even,
yeah.
I couldn't even stand the smell of cigars.
But
I
remember
couldn't-
those
I could-
places?
Huh?
Remember those places when they
Oh,
opened
yeah.
and everyone was
Oh, yeah.
like,
the humidors.
yeah.
Yeah, I had never heard that word before in my life. That and I can't stand the taste of a martini. So yeah, it's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, you guys are doing that too. Okay, I'm not sure we didn't really exactly fit in that style in the sense that our instrumentation was not that typical.
Correct.
For one, our influences were completely different.
Yeah.
I was never inspired by Frank Sinatra. I mean, I adore the guy. I think he's amazing, but that never was an influence in my songwriting.
Is what Django did an influence on your writing?
Yeah, Django Reinhardt and a lot of imagery from neorealist Italian cinema and the David Bowie.
Yeah.
You name it. I mean, that's Elvis Presley. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge of various things that started 8.5 Souvenirs.
Yeah.
And so there's, the Django Reinhardt element was probably what brought the swing into the band.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that chunky rhythm and
And expensive chords.
expensive words, yeah, with 3 fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
I can play 6 strings with 3 fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. So wait. Okay. So you start that band, and who was the first singer? It was Juliana. No.
Yeah. Kathy.
It was Kathy. Okay.
It was the one who's on the
Full
record.
circle.
Yeah.
Coming
yeah,
full circle.
Absolutely. The first. Our first.
Oh, that's what happens is because of the Asylum Street Spankers, then I see you, and then I'm like, well, when was Christina Mars singing in there? I'm like, no, wait a minute. She was in the Asylum Street.
She was.
Right.
She sat in with us several times.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, then I must have seen
but
that.
She was
That's
not
what's
in the band.
Right.
As a permanent member. We had a lot of singers sing with us.
Yeah.
Like Pass Through. And
Yeah.
Chris McKay was with us at some
Oh,
point.
really?
We recorded with, you mentioned Suvanica. We had Chris McKay on that. We had Kelly Willis.
Wow.
All kinds of wonderful singers on there. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you guys started out, did you had a vision musically of what you were wanting to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and this band really started as the vision and the inspiration started with my friend Tony Broussard, who had founded the Jazz Pharaohs at the time.
Oh, yeah.
With Mark Rubin with Stanley Smith, the clarinet player, and they were playing at Griswold's, which was on South First.
Yeah.
Next to Jovitas.
Uh-huh.
And Tony and I met, and we started hanging out, and he came up with the name of the band, actually, and it was just him and me, and that's how the band started. This was just, and we were watching The Third Man, I think, at my house one afternoon, and we decided to do that song, the theme for The Third Man.
Uh-huh.
And that's really what started the band. That was our first song I think we ever played together, was The Third Man. So he worked out a rhythm part and I worked out the solo part.
Right.
And that was the beginning of 8.5 Souvenirs.
Wow.
Just the two of us. And then Todd, our bass player, joined us. Accidentally showed up at my house one afternoon when Tony and I were fooling around with some movie soundtrack of some kind.
Yeah.
Watching the movie on TV and figuring out and Todd showed up, and there was a upright bass leaning in a corner in my apartment. He grabbed it, started playing. He was a guitar player. I'd never played bass before, and that's how he became the bass player for the band and an actual bass player.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Now,
so that's where the inspiration came from.
Yeah.
Movies and music together, and that's where the
Title
cinematic
comes from.
style comes from.
Yeah.
So,
8.5 from Fellini.
from the Fellini movie and
Yeah.
Souvenirs from the Django Reinhardt song.
Yeah. Did you live in that White House where all the French dudes lived?
I did not.
Like
I
with
was
Terry?
there a lot.
You were there? Okay.
Yeah, I guess they all were there. Terry was
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
basement, and
Yeah.
P2 Pierre was upstairs.
Now, did you know them before you moved
Oh
here?
yeah. We all knew each other back in Paris.
So I knew there's like a group of bros. It's like
Yeah.
my family came from Cuba, but my grandfather was a doctor, and then he was friends with a bunch of doctor guys, and a couple of doctors were like, hey man, Houston is like the place where they're doing a lot of medicine stuff. And we found this neighborhood we can kind of take over. so let's come on down. So
It's the healthy neighborhood.
well, it's just like this is where the Cubans are going to be. This will be like our hang. And I always thought that about that group of that whole group of guys. I was always like,
Yeah.
man, this is just so cool.
Yeah. And we stayed with what's even cooler is that we remained best of friends through the years. We really some of these guys were in elementary school together.
Wow.
And they remained friends to this day. I met them when we were in our mid to late teens.
Wow.
Started playing music together.
Yeah.
And that survived to this day.
That's
We're
so
like
awesome.
Very, very, very dear and loyal friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell. It's always good. I've known Terry since 1985 when he first moved here and he played with Will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's when I met him. And he was at that point. I told him this drunkenly a couple months ago at Justine's. I was like, you were the coolest guy I had ever met in my life when I met you.
Wow.
He was the coolest guy I had ever met.
That's a hell of a compliment.
Yeah. I mean, he's so cool. I've never met someone from France either. So he was so nice too. You know, all of you guys were always just really nice.
Wow.
Anyway,
it was. Everybody was always so nice to us.
Yeah.
Here, for somebody to move from a different country and decide to, without even thinking twice about it, just stay where they landed.
Yeah.
And build their life.
Yeah.
Because, we came here in our mid-20s. I mean, we're all kind of, the same age, but I'm a little older than some of the guys. So I was in my mid-20s when I moved here. And that's the start of your life. I mean, it's where you... And I never thought of moving away. Every now and then somebody would ask me, did you ever think of living somewhere else? I was like, what kind of question is that?
yeah. Where would you live?
Because the people,
Yeah.
the place was wonderful, but
Yeah.
the place was made by the people who lived here at the time, and I was blown away by how warm the welcome was to somebody like me who was completely a complete UFO. We were aliens. Literally.
Yeah.
And there was no question asked. It was like open arms, open doors. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
That really blew me away, and it changed me completely. And it's stuck. I mean, it really stuck. And so being nice in return was the only option. No question.
Yeah.
And it was so genuine and so authentic. I'll never forget.
It's funny because when you talk about that now, it takes me back to that time, and not to be like, oh man, old Austin was so much better. But it's not that it was better. It was just very, very different.
Yeah.
And it was a lot smaller, and we were younger,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that has a lot to do with it, is from where you're looking at it, too. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
but musically, there was such an people embraced you no matter how weird you were, and you didn't have to be like a cosmic cowboy per se.
Exactly. No matter how weird or different,
Right.
just plain different. People were so open to anything that, and I think it is also a kind of a Northern American thing, you know.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not excluding any other part of the world
Sure, sure.
or of America.
Sure.
I'm just, you know, this is the part of America that I know,
Right.
And I can tell you the open-mindedness that you meet when you come to the U.S. coming from Europe anyway is really it's almost a culture shock
Yeah.
because we're not used to that.
Yeah.
That open-mindedness and that just honesty and humbleness, and it's just amazing.
Right.
I think it still is. You know, maybe Austin was better back then, but I still feel this way about the U.S.
Yeah.
and especially Texas and Central Texas. Of
Yeah.
course. You know, Austin is like the epitome of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still today, even though it's changed so much.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning music.
Yeah.
You know, playing music back in these days was definitely different, and I think definitely better in the sense that there was so much more room.
Right.
It was not as crowded, so you could see around. You could have landmarks. Your horizon was not obstructed. You know, you could go down to 6th Street and you could see the clubs where you could play.
Right.
It was absolutely not confusing.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
would walk into a club, there was a guitar, bass, drums, and, you know, a singer, and you knew exactly what you were walking into.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could sit in, you know,
Yeah.
and chances are, you know, you'd go out on 6th Street and 90% of the people you saw, you already knew them,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
they knew who you were.
Exactly.
Or they had heard of you or something.
Yeah.
This is there was not this anonymous vibe that there is nowadays,
Right.
which
Right.
is, you know, so it was more conducive to building a band, and you know, life was cheaper.
And a community too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The community was very supportive, and you could survive on picking up dimes and quarters on your way down to 6th Street.
Pretty
you
much.
know?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
renting a video was like 50 cents.
Yeah.
And, you know, with $5 at Headliners East, you could go out on a date
Yeah.
and have burgers, and so you could have free food at Babes, you know, on
Yeah.
for happy hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely has changed.
Yeah. For sure.
I love it.
It totally has, and yeah, it's definitely a weirder thing. But so anyway, so let's go back. So you guys, you know what I did want to ask you? Sorry to bounce around, but like, I was wondering what specifically like did work. Is this the first time you worked with Charlie on a
Yes.
record? Who produced your other
absolutely.
records?
Various people.
Okay.
I
Did you ever do anyone famous when you were on RCA?
Not really.
No?
Well, famous here in Austin.
Okay.
We worked with Stuart Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Who was more. He was the sound engineer, but he definitely had a say in what we were recording, and it was a pleasure to work with him.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Somebody I really enjoyed working with, and it was the start of a great friendship. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, is Chris Gage.
Uh-huh.
I loved working with Chris. He was
What a phenomenal talent.
He said, but there you go. This is again somebody who's not just talented and skilled, but he is such a wonderful human being to be around. You know, these are guys. They're just, you know, they're always so gentle. They're always so considerate of your feelings, and they know what it is to be under the pressure of being in the studio and having to record your parts when everybody's listening. And you know, they treated us, whether it's Charlie or Chris, treated us so well.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's 50% of your confidence and
Yeah.
your inspiration in the studio. You can, it's like if you're working with some prison guard, it's not going to work.
Right.
It's not like movies where
Yeah.
you have to be under pressure, so the feelings come out. It's
Right.
not the same at all. It's wonderful to work with people like that.
So I know guys like Charlie and Chris would bring, like, they are so unbelievable at
Yeah.
what they do
Mm-hmm.
musically. Like they're badasses.
Very generous of their time.
Very
too.
generous of their time too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And of their experience,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. I mean,
So when you went in with Charlie, what all did he bring to the table? Like, did he work on songs? Like, did he go in and go like, oh, maybe change this chorus around a little bit or
yes,
something?
a few arrangements that worked out really well. He was really good at capturing the band as it was supposed to be,
Right.
transferring what we were doing live, and it's just like transplanting, like transferring or transporting an organ,
Right.
and
Right.
keep it intact and still alive when it landed in the studio, and
Yeah.
have it, go on tape.
Yeah.
Tape. Quote
Pretend tape, yeah.
Yeah, let's call it tape.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
I mean, he would remind us. How you do that. When you do it at the club, you do this and this and that. Let's try to focus on that. And so
Right.
that reminded us what we were there for.
Right.
Capturing that.
So at that point, it's interesting because had you been like, if you had found a producer like, oh, I want this guy, he wouldn't have had that insight to the
Maybe-
band because
maybe
you
not.
had a fan, a
Well,
guy that just comes to the shows to
He
watch
came
the band.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
Came
mean?
to the shows, watched the band, and we also knew him. We had
Right.
been around the same town and the same, same
Yeah.
vibe forever. So it's not like we just like, hey, good to meet you. Let's start
Right,
working. It's like we knew each other.
Yeah.
So of course makes a big difference.
I was just thinking, man, Charlie and David Boyle together, that's honestly two of the funniest people I know, too.
They're so funny.
Yeah, they're really, really funny.
And they seem to work so well together.
Yeah.
They have they each do what they're best at, and they're great tandem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun to watch them work together.
Yeah,
Just like be a fly on the wall.
that's right.
Yeah.
Did you guys, when you guys got signed to RCA, wasn't RCA here for a while in the 90s? Or no?
I don't think so. I mean, not that I know of. They were in New York City.
Okay.
We constantly went there to visit.
How did that whole thing come about? How did that happen?
We had a manager at the time who was trying to get us a record deal,
Uh-huh.
and talked to several people, head of Sony, head of I can't remember, some CBS.
And once
And
again,
eventually RCA was the deal that was the best for us. So.
right. That was before you guys got that deal, and I hate to keep on bringing it up, but it before the swing thing happened.
Yeah,
So
actually,
that's
right
a
at the
hard
cusp.
fucking sell at that point, because that's like Pearl Jam and like Nirvana, and oh hey, here's
Green
these
Day.
guys, and Green Day.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
here's
have a-
Happy Feet. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
We had a talent person from I can't remember what he was exactly. I think his name was Richard. Yeah, he was like a big guy at RCA. He came down to help us, kind of direct what kind of songs we
Right.
were going to put
I imagine
on it,
that.
And he was mentioning Green Day. It's that, you guys think of Green Day and have, that's, and I'm like complete, I don't even
You don't know who they are.
what they look like. I knew who they were. I had heard, the best, day of your life. What,
Yeah.
that acoustic thing, and it's just not, I mean, it's great stuff.
Oh, try and do something like that.
But
yeah.
and I understand that he meant the qualities of that song that they had put out. It could be, y'all need to write a song that you could just play on an acoustic guitar, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I love, Space Oddity and, 12-string and stuff, but that's not really who we are.
Right.
So
that's what I was trying to think was like,
it was a little far-fetched.
was it one of those things though that you guys felt like, I mean, like, because I understand, like, if I had a label and I would have seen you guys at that time, I would have been like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's sign this band. But I don't know what the hell we're going to do with them. But this is like a band that should have a deal.
That's pretty much what somebody at RCA thought.
Yeah.
They were like, well, we don't really know what the hell to do with these guys, but let's sign them. So, they did.
Yeah.
And it was a problem all the way down to where do we put them in the bins in the store?
Exactly. Yeah.
All the way to the name. Do we put them at 8 or E for 8?
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
We were a problem all the way from the get-go. It's like, no, it was a struggle here and there. But
what all were they able to do like at that? But like, were you guys?
Well,
I know you did Austin City Limits. Was that when you were on there?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, it was right about the time when we signed with RCA, maybe right before.
Did you do any other TV shows?
We did Austin City Limits again.
Okay. But no, like like Jay Leno or anything.
No, I don't think so. We did a lot of regional, local TV shows up around the country because we toured like crazy, but no national things like that.
Who did you tour with? Like, were you opening for somebody?
We did open for Brian Setzer and his orchestra.
Okay, I was trying to think of like who was at the time. That's a guy that was doing it before it was happening too, right?
Well, of course, yeah. He was actually, he had been doing it a while. Yeah. And there was already a hint of this with the Stray Cats when he was, he loved that music. Yeah. And for us to tour with him, for me, it was, I mean, I just couldn't freaking believe what was happening to me.
Getting to watch that every night.
Well, yeah, I just, came from France where the Stray Cats exploded in the early 80s. And I was a fan instantly. Yeah. I never ever thought in my entire life that I would be that close to that guy. And there's somebody else who's like such a pro and such a nice guy. Yeah. And so generous of his time and skills and stuff. Wonderful experience. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And, I feel that, this applies to the musicians I play with as well. There's like this greatness that I'm so fortunate to be surrounded with. Yeah. Whether it's, Kathy's a wonderful singer, and Rob Kidd's an amazing drummer, and Todd Wolfmeyer, and now newly Dan Walton, who just joined the band. These guys are they're stellar players. And they're the most humane beings that you could ever wish to work with. Yeah. Yeah, Rob's a guy I've gotten to watch this whole time too, where you're now he's like a Jedi. He's like like Obi-Wan Kenobi back there on the drums, He knows what's happening. He knows how to do it. Yeah. Oh man, he's such a great player. Yeah. And he injects so much more than the music implies or suggests. He has a lot of personality comes through in his drumming. It helps. When you're doing music that's so related to a very set genre of music. Right. Say swing for us. Right. Having somebody like this in the band helps us. It really helps the music constantly have a foot outside the box. Yeah. And that's priceless. Yeah. I never wanted to be in a swing band that does, I'd like to jam with a swing band. I love swing. I listen to this kind of music all the time, but that's not who I am as a musician. Right. And so having somebody like this in the band is just, it's indispensable. I have to. got to have that.
Yeah. All right. So after the RCA thing, Christabel was a singer then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She was part of the deal. She was in the RCA deal.
She was. Yeah. I love her, man. I got to write a song with her, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It ended up on one of her records though later on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was it was a surprise because I didn't know it was that song.
Oh, really?
It was actually Todd Wolfson that was like, "Didn't you write this song?" And I was like, "Man, I don't think so."
Was it the arrangement, or was it changed so much that you didn't recognize it? Or
I hadn't heard it in a long time or something. And then
God.
finally when I heard it, I was like, "Oh shit, that is that song." But she's an immense talent.
Oh yeah,
You know?
she's a UFO from outer space.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which is great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so original and so different, and there's another person. She's the kindest person in the world.
Yeah.
Yet so
Juliana too, man.
Juliana, same
She's a
thing.
lovely,
Yeah.
lovely
What
person.
what an artist. What a musician Juliana was.
Yeah.
Is still.
Yeah.
She's such an amazing singer. I had such a blast playing with Juliana in the band.
Yeah.
It's an authority, really, in vocals.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Olivia, didn't the Asylum Street Spankers also get signed? To someone?
Not when I was with them. I don't think I was on one of the records, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't remember what label it was on,
Okay.
and I don't know if it was part of the contract or if it was just a one-time deal.
Right.
Honestly, I don't remember.
There's a bazillion people in that band, but it was Guy Forsyth,
Yeah.
Christina Mars, you, Whammo, and
Pops Bayless,
right.
Greg Bayless, Mysterious John, who was the always
that
wore
guy?
sunglasses. And
Yeah. But the thing about that band was there was no amplification,
no,
right?
No, we always when I was in the band, it was strictly acoustic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to play really loud acoustic guitar, Django style,
Yeah.
like the really firm right.
Yeah. How hard was that? And you guys toured and stuff too, right?
I'd never toured. I
You never did?
one date in New York City with them after I quit the band. After I quit, because I was too busy with the Souvenirs, I would have loved to stay with them, but that's right when they started touring.
Okay.
That I left the band. I played Dallas and Houston. You know, we played around Texas.
Right,
but
right.
I never actually went on the road with them.
Yeah.
But they did, and they worked a lot.
Yeah.
And
Did you guys continue touring after you left RCA and stuff? Or after RCA left you, however that worked out?
we did.
Yeah.
We did a few tours. Definitely not as much, not as intensive, but we did do a few outings in California and East Coast. And,
Yeah.
and then it just faded out.
Well, it's hard to keep that thing going, like, especially after you get money injected into it and then the money gets taken out of it. You know what I mean? Like the
Well,
money for the thing, like
yeah.
tour support and shit like that. It makes it hard.
There's that, and also I think these were different times for
Yeah, that's right.
for everybody. Got in at a different phase of their life, and the band literally the 8.5 Souvenirs core was no more.
Right.
And I mean, I carried on playing music. I think we all did different things,
Yeah.
but nobody felt that. None of us felt that any of that could be called 8.5 Souvenirs.
Right.
It just was no more. I did. I can't remember exactly what happened after the Souvenirs, but I had. I think I had a band called Paris 49, and then Continental Graffiti, and I sat in with various people, but I did not continue 8.5 Souvenirs. It was just not.
It wasn't
there.
Yeah.
It's that entity had vaporized. You know, disappeared, and it reappeared later.
How did it reappear?
Through Kathy and Todd, actually, who were in touch on Facebook, and thought it might be a crazy but great idea to why not pull the band back together, since we realized at some point, well, we're still around. We're not exactly doing anything, that's keeping us busy all the time. Why don't we just, I think Kathy really missed playing music.
Yeah.
I was not doing anything in particular. I was like focusing on other things, and it was the right time, the right place for each of us, and we gave it a shot, and it was like, and it just reignited out of thin air, I guess.
Then you started doing the residency again?
Well, first I had to relearn all the songs.
Yeah.
And then we had that residency.
Yeah.
Because Steve Wertheimer happened to, right at that time, reopen an old club that was called Trophies. And then before that, the Blue Lagoon, I think, or the Blue Lagoon or the Blue Bayou.
I don't remember what it was before Trophies, yeah.
But he opened Seaboy's Heart and Soul in that place. And I was like, well, that would be so cool to, if there's any chance we can play there, let's jump on it. Because it was, old Austin place. And I think the last time I had played there I was splitting the bill with High Noon back in the early 90s, or maybe 1989.
Yeah.
I played there with 47 Indians.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, that, it's my heart when like,
yeah.
It's like, that'd be really cool. And that was it. Just started again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like there are some rooms here. Like, do you go to the gallery?
Oh yeah, I used to play at the gallery. All the time.
There's something about like on paper, like if you came in from out of town, you'd never been there, and they're like, "Oh, you're playing here tonight." You'd be like, "Fuck, this PA." But somehow, like the people
people come in,
it sounds amazing.
And then you play a chord, and the room sounds phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And you can adjust your volume. It don't have to be loud.
Yeah.
It just it carries through. And the people are. That's what I adored about the gallery.
Yeah.
Is people are right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't miss a note you're playing. Everything you do, you just lift your little finger, and it's the butterfly effect immediately ripples through the entire room. I love that.
Dude, whenever people come in from out of town, like family of mine or something from Miami, and I take them to like Continental Club or the gallery, every once in a while it'll bite me on the ass. Like I'll bring the person that's like, "So where else? Is there somewhere we can go dance?" And you're like, "Shut up, dude. I live here." Like, you know what I mean?
Do you remember when it was a music store?
Yes, I do. One World Music?
One World Music store with Steve. Steve was the owner. I can't remember his last name. I bought stuff there. Actually, one of the amps that I still use today came from that store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you, how has the digital music revolution, I noticed you were like, "Hey, do you have a copy of our album?" And I was like, you don't even know, like, most people don't even think about making a CD anymore.
I know.
How has that sort of jived with you as just not even like an artist and like, "Oh, Spotify's ripping me off," but like as a fan, do you use Spotify to?
Yes, I do. I don't like it very, very much.
Right.
It pisses me off a lot. But I have to admit, it's very convenient when you're cooking dinner,
Exactly.
Turn Spotify on and it will play whatever it wants.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I don't really like it because it doesn't have all the stuff I want to listen to. Why? I don't know, but there's things I look for and they're just not there. The interface pisses me off.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's great. Press play.
Yeah.
Make a playlist. My daughter taught me how to make a playlist.
How many kids do you have?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How old are they?
32, 30, and 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're out of like the day-to-day dad racket.
I did, yeah. And it was great.
Yeah.
I actually got to raise one of them completely.
Oh, that's great.
My youngest, Gigi, is 21, and I've been around her since she was born.
That's great.
And it's one of the most wonderful things I've done in my life is having that little girl.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
She's the one that taught you how to use the Spotify?
Yes. Uh-huh. She's the one. She's very patient with her dad. Yeah.
That's nice. What's your relationship to social media? I just wonder because guys like us didn't come up with that stuff, and it's just weird. It's weird.
Okay. To me, there's two things. There's social media and the people who use social media.
Okay.
I cannot relate at all to anything that regards followers, influencers.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't compute with me. I don't think, and I'm not going to go into personal opinions, but
sure,
I don't see any good coming out of it, but I don't think it's good for the human being in general.
Yeah.
Social
well, there you have a
media-
daughter that's 21 that just grew up in that whole thing.
Yeah. And I like that she's not completely into that as well.
Yeah.
But she's also living with her time and part of this era and generation, and she has a reasonable amount of usage, with social media, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing tool for communicating, staying in touch, advertising.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily enjoy that anybody can just open their mouth and have followers and believers, without any credentials or qualifications to talk about just about anything. But I definitely love the communication aspect of it, where people can actually debate about things and share opinions, and as long as it stays on that scale of conversation and but when it starts being the whole following thing, I'm not following that.
I know it's weird,
but I live with it. I use it. I don't use Instagram that much, but I use Facebook. I don't really post on Facebook. I mean, I know everybody says that, but I do keep up with what my friends are doing, and I use Messenger a lot because there are a lot of people that I'm in touch with in France. Family and friends. That's all they use. Right. Either that or WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So, good and not so good, but
well, it's funny. There's that thing that you kind of said. The influencer thing has gotten to where, like, when for us to get some sort of notoriety, to go out in public and do what we do, we had to spend a certain amount of time getting good at it, and then coming up with something original to offer to people that they'd want to pay to go see. And then all of a sudden you get a following. That's a legitimate following. You make a certain thing and people like it, like a shoe company even. But it's art and it's your thing. But when it turns into like some guy drinking orange juice, like riding a skateboard behind a truck to like a Fleetwood Mac song, literally puts that song back on the charts. It's fucking weird.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And but you nailed it when you said, you work on something and you build up to a decent product that you can actually offer people, and you said it's art. Yeah. I don't think that riding a skateboard behind
it's not. It's not. But our art is put on the same level as that skateboard guy. And it's nowhere near as impressive to people for some reason.
It's true. Yeah. Although skateboarding is definitely a form of art.
Sure.
But when it's somebody who's going to open their mouth to word their opinion about politics and whether you should get vaccinated or not, I mean, please, that's not art.
No, that's like, insane.
To me, that should be ignored, and then we'll just go back to where it came from without a peep, Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of people just make a big deal of it, and it's just like you said, all of a sudden it will put a song back on the charts. Yeah, that's crazy. That's
so weird.
That's how much power it has.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But anyway.
Yeah.
But the when you're saying I like the idea of having followers when you're performing. Yeah. And people actually look for you. Where are you playing next?
Exactly.
In that sense, they follow you. They're followers.
Yeah.
That's a really harmless form of
Right.
having followers, I think.
Yeah.
It's actually,
But they're actually following something.
yeah, for sure.
It's like the Kardashians. Like what did they do? Their dad was rich.
Don't get me started.
No. I know, but they don't like. There's no. Oh well, they built a great brand.
No,
Yeah, but they don't do anything.
I
They're
knew
just-
one of us was going to say the K word at some point.
I've
it's
never s-
inevitable because it's the epitome of that.
Right, right.
It's like, okay, when it comes down to it, what,
And I don't
What
think
have
they're
you-
bad people.
No.
I just don't think they're as accomplished as people that have actually done something.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Preaching to the choir, I guess.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And is it? Yeah.
Okay, we're letting the old guys out now.
No. I
Letting the
try to
old
do what
man
I can
out.
to not be the old guy. So you moved your record release show to February 15th.
Yeah, tentatively, yes.
Tentatively, yeah. Everything's
stage
kinda
5,
tentative
we
now.
don't go out.
Okay.
And it's not a. We're not wording any opinion doing that. We're not taking
Sure.
a stand. We're just saying.
That's what you're doing.
We're just saying, yeah. Let's. Some people are not comfortable with that. We're going to respect that. So. That's it.
And I'll tell you, man, I played the other night at Antone's, and my the band talked about it the
Yeah.
week before. Like, should we do this or not do this? And like, it was like, well, look, let's just do it. It's there.
Yeah.
No one has COVID, and in the contracts now that you sign, I don't know. Steve probably doesn't have a lot of contracts going on with people, but now when you have contracts on it, the contracts are now hip to COVID. Like, there's no
Yeah,
more
of
like,
course. Used to be
Yeah.
weather, act of God.
yeah,
you know,
now it's
like,
COVID.
comma,
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah, or whatever
Yeah.
the pandemic or something.
Yeah, the record release will happen if the context is right. You know,
Sure.
if we go down in stages, then
Yeah.
we'll be there definitely. But it's to be announced, to be confirmed, I guess.
Yeah. What before we go, there's two things that I want to say. What was the idea to do Le Way?
So
To do the fastball song Le Way.
as far as
Outside of the fact that it's fucking great.
Thank you. As far as I know, it came from the band Fastball. Tony or Miles took both. I guess in the course of a conversation with Kathy, whom they're friends with, suggested that we do a French version of The Way, and I think nobody in our band had anything against that. We're like,
No.
sure. I mean, that's unexpected, but sure,
Yeah.
sounds great.
It
So
does sound great.
I immediately went to work, wrote some words.
You did.
Yeah.
How different is the story?
It's very similar.
Very
It's,
similar.
I mean, it's not similar. It is the same story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Where it put in a slightly different way, but I was really careful to stick to the bullet points,
Right, right.
in the original song, and it was great inspiration. I mean, I just went,
Yeah.
and but it's not the same language, so it had to be turned in a different way.
The way that you guys did it, it sings so well in
Oh,
French.
thanks.
Yeah.
I've heard from several friends and family members, of course, in France that it does bring tears to their eyes because it is a sensitive subject. Our parents,
Yeah.
dwindling away or kind of slipping through our
Yeah.
fingers when we've had our entire life to enjoy them, and we maybe did not as much as we should have.
Yeah.
And then it's too late.
Yeah.
Sensitive
Yeah.
subject, and that song is exactly what that's about. It's like they're here and then they're not,
Yeah.
and they just kind of fade away. They've done everything they could to put you in a good place, and then they let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a huge sensitive subject. I just had to let go of my mother, and it was
Sorry to hear that.
one of the toughest things.
Yeah.
You know? Really tough. But it's part of life.
Yep. It's
And
the only guaranteed part of life.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a parent. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what
Sure,
a freaking
sure.
lesson.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the circle.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a continuum. It just keeps regenerating.
Yeah.
It's the same story, you know, over and over, and we'll never learn.
Yeah.
Never learn.
Yeah, it's always a surprise.
My dad always used to say, you know, the experience of others never benefit somebody, never profit somebody, you know.
That's true.
He was so right. Until it's your own experience,
Yeah.
you don't learn your lesson.
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it.
That's right.
What it boils down to.
Yeah.
Experience your own things.
Well, not to take it out of the heaviness, but did you play the guitar solo at the end?
Yeah.
And you kept the original melody.
Yeah.
What was that choice?
I felt like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great melody.
I thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
I'm very very flattered that you noticed that,
Yeah.
because I wanted to pay tribute to that band and the musicianship on it.
Yeah.
And you know, I can relate to guitar because I'm a guitar player, and you know, they offered to cover their song. That's not a small thing, you know. And
Yeah.
I never really got to thank both of Miles and Tony in
Yeah.
person. I mean, I did thank Tony, but I never actually met Miles, I don't think.
You've never met Miles?
I don't think so. Not formally,
Right.
you know. And I was like, well, there you go. And it's a great solo. It's short and such a great statement. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed trying to reproduce it, and it was not that easy.
No.
You know, he's a good player,
Yeah.
and doing things that are not obvious. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's been great talking to you
Yeah,
and getting to know
we
you
should do
some,
it
man.
more
This is,
often.
yeah. Yeah. That's what I find with people that I've known for years that I don't really know, is that after we do one of these things, like, well, let's hang out sometime.
Well, it's great that you're doing this. Also,
Thanks, man.
You know, there's it's the precious few. Not that many people do that, and then you give other musicians and other artists and Austin people a chance to just regroup and speak, and it's awesome. It's great.
Well, it's always exciting for me too, because I've seen you play a lot over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen you play a lot.
It is 30 years. That's
Yeah.
true.
And I always loved it, and whatever experience I always had with you was always positive. When Joe Ray reached out, I was like, hell yeah, I want to talk to him.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Well, people need to get
Anytime.
out and check out this album's fucking great. 8.5 Souvenirs at the Movies, produced by the great Charlie Sexton, and engineered. And did he mix it, Boyle? The Australian pirate.
They mixed it. Yeah.
Mixed by an Australian pirate named Dave Boyle, who runs a
Absolutely.
place called the
Australian
Church House.
UFO.
Well, thanks so much for doing the show, man.
You're very welcome.
La main dans la main.
All right, Olivier Giraud from 8.5 Souvenirs. Get out there and get their brand new album, At the Movies, produced by Charlie Sexton, engineered and mixed by my pal Dave Boyle over at Church House Studios. Charlie's my pal too. That was weird the way I said that. Like, I don't like Charlie, but I do. I love him. He's amazing. And this record's amazing. Get it out. Get it. Get out there and see them at their record release show on Tuesday, February 15th at Seaboys right here in Austin, Texas, 6:30 p.m. Go to 8.5souvenirs.com for all of your 8.5 Souvenirs needs. And gang, don't forget, when you're out there checking out 8.5souvenirs.com, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere you find podcasts. New shows every Tuesday, every Friday, all the time. All right? All right, I'm gonna try and enjoy this weekend and kind of cool out a little bit emotionally, and maybe do some physical stuff to get rid of some of this anxiety. Maybe take some of that CBD. That's probably what I'm gonna do. Don't forget to go to truehempscience.com, get some CBD stuff, and enter the code HDIGH for a very, very special bonus. Have a great weekend, whatever it is you're doing. I want to thank Olivia for coming by. Thank Joe Ray for setting this up. Have a great, great, great weekend. Let's get down.
La maison s'éveille, les enfants sont grands. La nuit nous conseille, mais nous vole nos parents. Ils ont tout laissé sans penser plus que ça. Où allaient-ils sans savoir où les mener le pas? Je vais voir dans les yeux le chemin pavé d'or et brillant. Le soleil jouait dans leurs cheveux d'argent, insouciant qu'ils n'auraient plus jamais froid maintenant. Des yeux éternels, un monde bleu sans même se retourner. À jamais amoureux, ils se sont dépassés. Bien tous les deux, bien plus heureux maintenant. Nos parents. Les voix dans les yeux, le chemin pavé d'or et brillant. Le soleil jouait dans leurs cheveux d'argent, insouciant qu'ils n'auraient